Are you living with a covert narcissist? The covert is so clever, so smooth, so convincing that it's hard to tell he's a rat-fink narc. In this video, I'll help you identify the covert narc. Now, this video's content comes from my brand new ebook, My Marriage Hurts. Am I living with a narcissist? Here's the killer cover of this new ebook. If you know someone you care about, someone you love who is living with a narc, but the person doesn't know it, get this ebook and send it to them. Read it first, and then send it to your friend or your family member, coworker, neighbor, someone you care about, child, and then when they read it, hopefully they will read it, you can interact with them, answer their questions, and it might just help them see the truth. I cover in the ebook what the narc, overt and covert, does to you and the damage he causes you and your children. You can get My Marriage Hurts and all my resources on escaping the narc on my website, davideclarkephd.com. Now, let's look at the 7 faces of the covert narc. And this comes from my ebook, My Marriage Hurts. First of all, the first face is Mr. Confusion. The covert engages in an intentional and never-ending campaign to frustrate you, infuriate you, and confuse you. He takes your normal reactions, your emotions, your quirks, your personality, and basic male-female differences and weaponizes them against you. You are just being you, perfectly normal, but he makes you believe you are strange, abnormal, weird, mentally unstable. That's him, not you, but he makes you feel that way. Second face of the covert, Mr. Logic. The covert gets triggered just as often and unpredictably as the overt does, but his reactions are very different. The overt yells, rages, calls you awful names, swears, loudly mocks you, destroys property. The covert quietly and calmly and systematically humiliates you, tears you down with logic and persuasive argument. He loves to lecture you, to teach you the truth about what really happened, what you did to upset him. These are not class participation lectures either. He's the only one talking. Mr. Passive-Aggressive is the third face of the covert narc. When you upset him, and you upset him a lot, he denies being angry, but he pays you back in many nasty, indirect ways. He's actually in a rage against you, won't show it, doesn't want the kids to see it or anybody else, but he will pay you back. He jokes, uses sarcasm, takes little verbal jabs at you, teases you. After slipping the knife in you, he says, "Oh, I'm just kidding. You're too sensitive," when you're upset. He suddenly shuts down and stops talking to you. He gives you the silent treatment until you break, beg him to tell you what you did to bother him, and of course, apologize to him. Next face is Mr. Gaslighter. The overt gaslights, but the covert gaslights on a world-class level. Speaking of the Olympics, gold medal in gaslighting. The covert does a beautiful and highly effective job of convincing you that what you think happened did not happen. When you share about something that happened, something you said or did, something he said or did, something the kid said or did, he rationally convinces you that your version of reality is incorrect. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, you were there. You witnessed it. It's your version of events. No. After he dissects and destroys your version of reality, you lose it. Frankly, anyone would lose it. You cry, you scream with frustration, you get angry, you get overwhelmed, you melt down. Your breakdown proves his point that your point of view cannot be trusted. Who can believe a blubbering, freaking out, emotional mess? But no worries. The covert knows the truth and will tell you how to think, how to feel, and how to act. Next, Mr. Nice. The covert is Mr. Nice. The covert can be a nice, pleasant, charming, and attentive partner. Very affectionate sometimes. As long as he's in a good mood and you aren't triggering him, everything is hunky-dory. All is well. These moments of nice touch your heart. They make you happy. They give you hope, and the covert knows that. He knows exactly what he's doing. Here's a good description of a covert from one of my Facebook followers. Listen to this. He never hit, never cussed, never yelled, was a caring dad, and as far as I know, never cheated. We said, "I love you," and held hands on walks. Everything was usually good if I seemed to think he was perfect in every way. Funny, a great storyteller, sweet. We had many really great times, but they always felt fragile, and I was often still trying to recover inside from the times that weren't good, for the hurtful things he said and did. The covert gives you just enough good, just enough nice to keep you around. You live for the good times, but they are outweighed by the bad. Next, Mr. Martyr. No one is better at playing the victim than the covert. To distract you from his abusive behavior, to confuse you, and to get attention and sympathy, he becomes the world's greatest martyr. When he's angry with you, he doesn't fly into a rage and verbally blast you. He's too smart for that. That's the overt. He acts hurt, sad, and terribly disappointed in you. How could you do that to me? Dripping with sincerity. When you question anything he does, he sees it as an attack. He gets defensive immediately. Mr. Martyr, you have completely misunderstood the situation. I am deeply offended and hurt. You have disrespected me. Disrespect for the covert happens all the time. I can't believe you question me. Don't you trust me? He cleverly avoids your issue with him and ends up making you feel bad about bringing it up. And of course, he'll expect your apology. And then, Mr. Let's work on our marriage, covert narc. The covert is more than willing to work, in quotes, on your marriage. He wants to look good, and you bad. He'll talk to your pastor. He goes to a marriage counselor. He goes to a marriage seminar. He'll go to a marriage intensive. Back when I was doing marriage intensives back in the day, I would see narcs sometimes and their wives. Talk about a very brief intensive. I wouldn't waste my time continuing. He was just there to look good. I'd tell the truth and they'd leave. I'll end up talking with the wife later and have her divorce the dirtball. He makes no changes. He doesn't have to. He charms your pastor and every marriage counselor you see. He convinces them he's a great guy, a great husband, and he's doing all he can in the marriage. He doesn't say it directly to anyone, but he gets this message across. My wife is the problem. Again, if you have a loved one who is living with a narc, but they don't realize it, send my new ebook to them, My Marriage Hurts, Am I Living with a Narcissist? All right? That's the book. The escape process begins when a person realizes their partner is a narc. This book and all my books and videos are on my website, davideclarkephd.com.